Today we start a new chapter, chapter 5. Last time we started also a new chapter, chapter 4, about trees and tableau. But I will finish chapter 4 in April with complementary lecture. So today, chapter 5, it's a relationship between tableau, especially the Passeb tableau, Altair-Ihsan matrices, and orthogonal polynomial. So it is just this lecture, it's an introduction to the cometal theory of orthogonal polynomial. Next year there will be whole classes, 24 hours, on these important topics relating analysis, classical analysis of orthogonal polynomial and combinatorics. But I focus on the relationship with Q tableau, especially the Passeb tableau and orthogonal polynomial. So first, I suppose you know nothing about orthogonal polynomial, and we start from scratch to about orthogonal polynomial and the relationship with combinatorics. So I start with some trigonometry. Everybody know in elementary school that you can express sinus of n plus 1 theta in terms of sinus theta and a polynomial in cosine theta. And this polynomial is a well-known Chebyshev polynomial, and it's a sequence of orthogonal polynomial. Orthogonal means there is a scalar product for which they are orthogonal. So this is a classical scalar product of two Chebyshev polynomial with a certain integral, and this scalar product is 0 if n is different of m, is 1 if n equal m. So it is classical point of view on orthogonal polynomial, where the scalar product is belong to analysis with integral and etc. In fact, this polynomial can be interpreted combinatorially. Un of x, in fact, can be written as fn of 2x, where fn is a so-called Fibonacci polynomial. And Fibonacci polynomial is a polynomial with positive integer, a and k. A and k is counting something. It's a number of matching of the line segment with k dimers. So this is a line segment from 1 to n. And matching means you are putting some edges on this graph, and the edges are 2 by 2 disjoint. So how many ways you can put on a segment of length n? How many 2 by 2 disjoint edges you can add with k edges? This gives you a polynomial, which is exactly the Fibonacci polynomial. And this Fibonacci polynomial, if you replace x by 2x, this gives you the Chebyshev polynomial. So this is very classical. We have done this 2 years ago in the course introducing generating function and combinatorics. Fn of x also can be written as the sum of the all matching of the graph minus 1 power the number of edges of the matching. In general, matching in a graph, matching polynomial, matching is a set of edges 2 by 2 disjoint in the graph. So you can impress your friend working with trigonometry in elementary school by saying, okay, compute sinus 5 theta is going to be this polynomial, because you just take the possible matching, the 5 possible matching of this segment with no dimers, 1 dimers, 2 dimers. So this gives you this polynomial, and replace x by 2x, and you get this formula. So here there is strong relationship, orthogonal polynomial. You can interpret the polynomial itself, the coefficient, with some combinatorial object, but also you can interpret the orthogonality. So there's 2 points of view in all these series, they dual each other. Else you work with the coefficient of the polynomial or the generating function, or else you work with the fact they are orthogonal. Orthogonality. So we are going to insist on what is the combinatorics behind orthogonality. For example, in this case, for the Chebyshev, then I claim that the integral, this is integral giving the scalar product for orthogonality. I claim that this big integral in analysis is exactly the number of Dicke paths such that the indices of the peaks, this is the Dicke paths, in red you have the peaks, the indices of the peaks must be contained in this set of integers. So n1, n2, and k are the indices of the polynomial. So you take this set of integer n1, n1 plus n2, n1 plus n2 plus n3, etc. So you have this vertical line given by the integer n1, n2, and k. And the condition of the Dick path is that the peak must be located on this vertical line. I don't claim that all the peak, in each vertical line there is a peak, like this one there is no peak, but the peak must be, the indices of the peak must be inside these indices. So I claim this integral. So next year I will prove it. There is a pure combinatorial proof of this. But just to give you an idea of what is the combinatorics behind orthogonal polynomial. In the case n equal m, with only two polynomials, so the only case is this path. There is only one peak. The peak must be located on this vertical line, so there is a unique Dick path, and that gives you the proof as a consequence of the orthogonality. So this is elementary orthogonal polynomial. There is much more orthogonal polynomial. So we will use with the PASEP and tableau of the PASEP, we will use mainly the Hermite and the Laguerre polynomial. So what is the Hermite polynomial?
Can you go back to slide?
Yes. This one? So you have an integral with a certain measure, and I claim that this integral is explicitly equal to the number of such Dick paths satisfying this condition. The peak, the red point, must be located on this vertical line. Vertical lines are given by the indices n1, n2, and 3. The distance between two consecutive vertical lines is exactly n index I. In the case of only two polynomials, n1 and n2, so you must have a Dick path having only one peak located on the vertical line n1. So we say you have here n1 and 2. So if n1 and n2 are different, it's impossible to have a Dick path. Only possibility is n equal m, and so this is a proof of the orthogonality. So I will use some combinatorial interpretation. So the Hermite polynomial, for example, this is very well-known classical orthogonal polynomial. They are used in the quantum mechanics with operator creating, deleting particles. They are used in the PASEP very strongly. So the coefficient of the Hermite polynomials themselves can be interpreted in the following way. It's going to be Hn of x, the sum over all possible involution. So you take n element. Here there is n element, and you take an involution. Involution, the permutation having only cycle of length 2 and over length 1. So here cycle of length 1, here cycle of length 2. Or it also can be seen as a matching of the complete graph. Take the complete graph, select a subset of edges 2 by 2 disjoint. So here is a isolated point will correspond to fixed point of the involution. Edges of the matching will correspond to cycle of length 2 of the involution. So we take all possible involution on n element, and then you associate a polynomial like this. So it's minus 1 power the number of cycle of length 2. So here this will give me 1. And x power the number of fixed point of the involution, which will give here x power 4. So you take all possible involution, you sum over all involution, and you get a polynomial. And this is a famous classical Hermite polynomial. This is so in the interpretation. Usually it's defined by orthogonality analysis or all this, but we are in combinatorics, and there is a combinatorial definition of Hermite polynomial. Yes?
So
Question?
the only difference between Chebyshev and Hermite is that one is for the line,
Yes.
and the other is for the
Yes. So some matching, there is some matching. You can ask, what are the matching polynomials which are orthogonal polynomial? So if you take the complete bipartite graph, you get also the Laguerre polynomial.
But what is
Yes.
the interpretation of in that you had the semicircular distribution, 1 minus x squared, square root of 1 minus x squared. What is it here, and how is it related?
This is, we will give an interpretation of the moment, of the orthogonality.
The moment.
The moment, we will see. Wait. But the measure below the integral, this we don't know how to interpret combinatorially. There is some, for example, the square root for the Chebyshev, there is a square root of 1 minus x2 for the Hermite. So let's see the orthogonality of the Hermite. So from the definition of the involution Hermite, so you can easily, if you are beginning in enumerative combinatorics, you can easily enumerate the number of involution with k fixed point, and this is given by this polynomial. So Hermite can be explicitly written like this. And orthogonality, okay, this is explicitly the orthogonality.
Should have something to do with probability theory, right?
So-
Gaussian and
So,
beta.
so I don't know how to do it. Say the confusion is that this generating function is going to be related to the interpretation of the moments or of the orthogonal polynomials themselves. And at the upper level, then there is some completely different, when you have the function under the integral giving the orthogonality, and the function interpreting the moments or the orthogonality or the polynomials themselves, these are really different. And I don't know too much how to interpret this function as a generating function in relation with the combinatorics of Hermite. But what is possible to do is the moments themselves. I will define the moments, formal orthogonality. We'll forget analysis, no more integral. We will do everything formally, and then you can do combinatorics.
Here, you're considering points which some of them are involution.
Yes,
You can think of a permutation as a collection of cycles.
yes,
We can extend this definition -1 raised to
yes. That's exactly the next slide. Next slide is Laguerre polynomial, where you are, instead of working with involution, we work with Laguerre. So Laguerre polynomial can be defined this way. As if you know what is, I don't recall what is generating function, exponential generating function, but go back to the class 2 years ago. But if you know what is exponential generating function and product of generating function, then this is a possible definition for the Laguerre polynomial. Exponential generating function is the product of these two. So we know that this is a generating function, exponential generating function for permutation according the number of cycles. The Stirling number first kind, the small Stirling, small s and k. So this is an enumeration of permutation by cycle. And this is exponential. So if you know what is assembly of something, and this is exponential. Again, this is t over 1 minus t is permutation. So x is counting something, and exponential, it's a collection of many such things here. It's classical interpretation of the exponential generating function. So if you know that to translate this into combinatorics, this comes a Laguerre configuration. So Laguerre configuration, here we have a permutation, 2 by 2 disjoint cycle, weighted, each cycle is weighted alpha plus 1. So this comes from this generating function of permutation. So this is a partial permutation. Product means then there is something more on the right. And t over 1 minus t. Now I put some permutation, but I put some totally order, like chain. This is totally order. So you suppose that all the vertices at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, n, and you have a partition of all these vertices into disjoint cycle, disjoint chain, or totally order subset. Each such chain is weighted minus x. This is a minus x here. And each cycle is weighted alpha plus 1. Maybe I go fast, but if you know how to translate exponential generating function, product of function exponential of something, you translate this into combinatorics, you get immediately the interpretation of Laguerre polynomial as the sum of the weight of all Laguerre configuration. Laguerre configuration is this on n elements. The elements are supposed to be labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, n. And you have a partition between disjoint cycle, disjoint edges, disjoint chain like this, totally order subset. So each of this is counted by n factorial. It's permutation as a word, permutation as a cycle notation, with these two different weights, alpha plus 1 and minus x. And so this is a Laguerre polynomial indexed by alpha. So this will appear many times in the PASEP model. So this is fundamental polynomial. It's a kind of extension of the Hermite because it's you have a more cycle, more chain. Because if you reduce the chain to 1 point, if you reduce the cycles to cycle length 2, then you get back the involution in the Hermite polynomial. And then, if you are expert in the hypergeometric function, you can express. You see, you can express Laguerre polynomial as this formula. I don't give the detail. It's just to give you a light idea of all this story. And this formula, it's come immediately from the interpretation from this configuration. This formula can be deduced from the Laguerre configuration. I'm not going to spend much time on this. It's just to give you an idea of the combinatorics of orthogonal polynomial. And this is the orthogonal polynomial orthogonality relation between Laguerre polynomial. We will not use all this. This is classical analysis. So usually orthogonal polynomial is a big chapter of classical analysis. And since 30 or 40 years, it's becoming a big chapter of combinatorics. And thanks to the PASEP model, where we get inspiration to go very high in the category, in the classification of orthogonal polynomial. So I start from the beginning. So what is sequence of orthogonal polynomial we use in combinatorics? So I will use sometimes formal orthogonal polynomial. So forget they are not on real number. Forget the analysis. Everything is formal. At the end, of course, if you the variable, if you want to replace by a real number, complex number, then. So I start with a ring of coefficient k, or a domain, which can be the real number, complex number. It can be polynomial in variable alpha, beta, gamma, etc. So, and I am defining a sequence of polynomial, pk of x, in one variable. The coefficients are in the ring k, and each polynomial pk is of degree k. So you have a sequence of polynomial, pk, each pk is of degree k, and definition, the main definition, this sequence, Pn of x, is called to be orthogonal sequence of polynomial if and only if there exists f. F is a linear functional sending any polynomial on the ring of coefficients. To any polynomial you associate it's a linear form, a linear functional from the ring of polynomial to the ring of the coefficient. And it satisfies these three conditions. 1, 2, 3. So the degree of Pn for each n is n. Second condition, if you take the functional f of the product pk-pl equals 0 if k is different of L. So this is the orthogonality. You see, instead of writing an integral of something like the Chebyshev, like the Laguerre, or like the Hermite, I do the thing formally. The f of pk of pq is going to be a scalar product on the ring of polynomial, and I ask that f of pk-pl equals 0. But I ask more. I ask that f of, if k equals L, I want to have f of pk to the square different of 0. So this is a definition, the formal definition, and no more analysis. It's for any sequence of polynomial on a certain ring K. So the ring can be in a positive integer. There is a problem, question, ma'am?
I wanted to ask if you can normalize it and assume f of pk squared is 1.
Yes, we can normalize. Usually we take pk in combinatorics. The coefficient of the highest degree, pk of x, begin with x power k. So this is called monic polynomial. Monic polynomial means that the coefficient of highest degree is 1. So all the polynomial, we will start with polynomial, starting with monic polynomial. Of course, you can normalize, it's up to a certain factor. So this is formal definition. There was when I learned all this subject a long time ago, I read the book of Chiara, which was Chiara, Chiara or Chiara, Chihara. I will put on the website the references. There is a nice book, and this book is defining orthogonal polynomial in a formal way. So this fits very well for combinatorics.
And of course, we want the coefficients of combinatorial interpretation.
Yes,
So
we
you
want.
don't want to normalize.
Yes. No, it's up to a multiplicative factor. So you don't try to immediately to normalize. You have to be freedom, and maybe the coefficient. You need some freedom to multiply. Okay. Yes. Other coefficients, they are in the ring K. Also, it's just formal. The ring K, maybe it's usually we will take polynomial in integer coefficient with variable alpha, beta, and q. For the PASEP, there is 3 parameters, alpha, beta, q, and so the coefficient of the polynomial will be, the coefficient of pk of x will be polynomial in alpha, beta, q. So take any ring K. So K usually will take K, a ring of polynomial in the parameter alpha, beta, q. Okay, I can continue. And so the linear functional f is defined on the basis of polynomial. So f of xn equal mu n. If you know the mu n, then you know the f. And so the mu n are called the moments of the orthogonal polynomial. So everything is defined by the moment too. And usually, so in classical analysis, f of pq, in fact, is defined as an integral of product pq by a certain measure d mu, which can be Stieltjes measure or any. But this, for high-level polynomial, we don't know how to interpret this combinatorially. What we know is this interpretation, the mu n. But the mu, and also there is problem in some case. There is different measure can give the same sequence of orthogonal polynomial. You need some positivity condition to get a unique measure in this. But here the moment will be unique. I will give a lemma which gives the unicity up to a multiplicative factor. Yes, Amri?
D mu to mu n, that's the moment generating function, and then there's an inverse, something like a Fourier transform.
Yeah, yes.
You know the measures, you know the distribution.
Yes. But this is a famous Hamburger moment problem. And if the Hankel determinants are not all positive, then there will be different measures. The unicity is not unique. But this we don't consider to interpret this combinatorially. This is much better to go here. Maybe one day it will be possible to do this combinatorially, but for the moment we restrict to the moments. So example of, if you take mu0 equal mu1 equal mu2 equal 1, then there is no sequence of orthogonal polynomial. So if you give me a sequence of moments on f, it's not necessary, maybe they does not exist orthogonal polynomial. There is some necessary and sufficient condition so that for the existence, it's a so-called Hankel determinant have to be all non-zero. Also, what is unicity? So there is two lemma. If you give me two different sequences of orthogonal polynomial for the same linear functional, then they are unique up to a multiplicative factor. It's easy to prove. And also, if you give me a single sequence of orthogonal polynomial and two different linear functional for which this sequence is orthogonal, then they are unique up to a multiplicative factor. So the correspondence between linear functional and orthogonal polynomial, this is unique up to multiplicative factor, and in some case, it does not exist orthogonal polynomial. So why I introduce this chapter inside the Taylor-Ansatz Q-tableau and quadratic algebra is because there is a strong relationship between the PASEP model in physics, also the Alter-Einstein matrices, and some orthogonal polynomial appear in the story. So I don't redefine again the PASEP and etc. The general PASEP model, partially asymmetric illusion process, is with 5 parameters, alpha, beta, gamma, delta, and q, and so we'll get some polynomial related to this. So the solution, physics solution of the PASEP model, I mean the explicit computation of the stationary probability, was given in some paper in physics, where first paper were for the solution of the 3-parameter PASEP, alpha, beta, q, where the q-Hermite polynomial appear. So it's the Hermite polynomial I defined before, And we will see, we'll put a Q analog, a Q weight which will give the Q Hermite. So there is some relation, you see. And the full solution of the PASEP was given by these 3 Japanese people with 5 parameters. And the solution deeply involves the Askey-Wilson polynomial. So there is very strong connection. That's why I will explain this connection, especially at this level with only 3 parameters. This becomes more complicated. But the main thing is alternative tableaux are strongly related to this relation alpha beta q with the Q Hermite and also the Q Laguerre. These operators are related to Hermite polynomial, and this operator D and E are related to Laguerre polynomial. Also, there is strong connection between what we have seen Alter-Einstein matrices as a Q tableau for a certain quadratic algebra, and we have seen that this polynomial an of x enumerating Alter-Einstein matrices by number of -1, this polynomial has some explicit formula for if you replace x by 1, by 2, or by 3, and this explicit formula being given by Colombo and Branco is some Hankel determinant of orthogonal polynomial. So it's some determinant appearing in the classical theory of orthogonal polynomial, and this is related to the Hahn, Mexner, Polacek, or dual Hahn. There is some kind of Hahn polynomial. So maybe I will not explain this in the class, but I will mainly concentrate on the PASEP algebra and relation. So what are these polynomials? Hahn, Askey-Wilson, Hermite, Laguerre. So they are classified. All these polynomials, they are classified by complexity. The complexity is that we have seen, for example, for the Laguerre polynomial can be expressed as a hypergeometric function. And each of these polynomials, this is called classical polynomial, can be expressed, explicit expression with hypergeometric function. And the more the hypergeometric is complicated, the more you go above this tableau. So sometimes this is called the Askey tableau of polynomial, because here is the Askey-Wilson polynomial. So you see the complete solution of the PASEP involves a polynomial at the top level of the tableau with 5 parameters, alpha, beta, gamma, delta, q. And what means this tableau? What means the arrow going down until going to the most simple polynomial Hermite? Or you see Chebyshev first kind, second kind. First kind we have seen, second kind we have seen sinus of n plus 1 theta. First kind is another Chebyshev for cosine, cosinus. So what means this tableau? It means that if you make a limit of some parameter, you put some parameter equal 0, or take some limit formula, you go from one level to a lower level. For example, if you take the Jacobi polynomial, which are in this here, this Jacobi polynomial, they depend of 2 parameters, alpha, beta. So if you take this Jacobi polynomial, take this, replace the variable by this, and take the limit. When one of the parameters go to infinity, then you get the Laguerre polynomial. So this is the meaning of this tableau. You see it. And so we have done since the 80s, maybe so since 40 or 50 years ago. Combinatorists have been very interested in putting a combinatorial theory of orthogonal polynomial to translate everything at the combinatorial level and see what happens. Take the classical book on analysis and see, do everything combinatorially, and then a wonderful garden of new bijection, new combinatorics appear related to the physics. And so the combinatorial theory of orthogonal polynomials, there is 2 approaches. One approach is starting from the polynomials themselves, the coefficient, the gyrating function, etc. So as we have seen, we have interpreted Hermite, Laguerre, and Chebyshev as we have interpreted the coefficient of the polynomial. And so maybe there is some formula, classical formula on this set of polynomials. So the formula comes from a certain bijection, certain combinatorial algorithm, from the interpretation of the coefficient. Now there is a dual. I say dual because in certain way it's a dual. It's the same duality as going from elementary symmetric function to homogeneous symmetric function. There's a kind of duality, and the duality is to give a combinatorial interpretation of the moments themselves. So this is totally different combinatorics. So for a long time we have been interpreted the coefficient of all these polynomials until the Hahn polynomial. So inside you see this is a Hermite polynomial and involution with fixed point and in sudden involution. Here the Laguerre can be seen as an injection from a subset to a full set. The Laguerre polynomial, this is the Charlier. So we say it's a combination of injection, permutation, or partial permutation, combination of the two. Jacobi, you have two Laguerre configuration, one over another, with some constraint on the color of the two configuration. Hahn is the more complicated. And we believe at that time, for 30 years, that we cannot go at the top level, that Askey-Wilson polynomial will be too complicated. But an example of formula, for example, the Meller identity between generating function of pair of Hermite. Say you have two Hermite polynomial, give you this here. So if you know the interpretation of two Hermite polynomial, it's a superposition of two Hermite configuration with a blue and a red configuration, then you can explain this generating function. So it is classical commutative proof. And so this was, remember a meeting a long time ago where Dominique Fota gave a proof of this. This was supposed to be a research paper, and it was a long time ago, at the beginning of the combinatorics of orthogonal polynomial. Now this is considered an exercise in any classes. In any classes on the genetic function, this is an exercise. But 30 or 40 years ago, this was a research paper at that time. This was a pioneer on the... Now the dual point of view is that you take the ASCII tableau and you say this is the moment of this polynomial. Moment of Hermite are involution with no fixed point. Moment of Chebyshev, second kind is Catalan number, first kind is 2n choose n. Moment of Charlier polynomial is a Bell number, number of partition. Moment of Laguerre polynomial is n factorial, permutation. The moment of Mexner, first kind, is order partition. You take a partition, like this, a Bell number, moment of Charlier, and you put a total order on the block of the partition. And this gives you the moment of the, or here, moment of Mexner2. In particular case, if all these polynomials have two parameters, in particular case, this gives you a second number of alternating permutation on an even number. So you see, take any sequence of combinatorics, and usually there is some orthogonal polynomial related to this sequence. So this is a totally different combinatorics, except that, for example, for the Hermite, at the lower level, the coefficients are involution with no fixed point. The moments are involution the coefficients are involution by number of fixed points, and the moments are involution with no fixed point. So there is some confusion that the two models for orthogonality and for the genetic function of the coefficient are almost the same. Same for permutation. Laguerre, the moment are n factorial. Laguerre configuration, it was also a kind of assembly of permutation. So there is some confusion. At the beginning, but now it's clear that this is completely two different sides of combinatorial interpretation. The coefficient on one side, the genetic function, formula, and on the other side, the orthogonality and the moments.
But you said it's something like the duality between elementary
Yes.
and complete symmetry.
Yes, because I can, because so to say that this duality, it's because in some case the moment in both sides, the orthogonal polynomial. I am going to show you the Favart theorem. It can be interpreted as sum of weighted paths, some paths or pavage of the. It can be interpreted as it's more general than the matching. Matching, it's a pavage of the segment. So there is some dimers and some monomers, and some point with isolated point. So this pavage is going to interpret the Favart theorem, the famous three-term linear recurrence for orthogonal polynomial. And this pavage can be embedded, can be in bijection with some paths. You go northeast or you go north-north. So take this path, and the moment are going to be interpreted by Motzkin paths or Dicke paths. And these two family of paths are kind of dual each other. And in special case, once the path interpreting the three-term, the Favart theorem, in some case can be elementary symmetric function, and the path interpreting the moments will be the homogeneous symmetric function. So you see this duality between coefficient and orthogonality is translated into a duality between two different configurations of paths, which can be the elementary with good weight, can be elementary symmetric function, and symmetric homogeneous symmetric function. But to interpret orthogonal polynomial with this path is Favart theorem, which comes the next slide. So Favart theorem is the main fundamental theorem to interpret the moments of the polynomial. Sure function is something in between, yes. Because all this, there is family of paths. There is a duality between family of paths, which is a duality of coefficient of orthogonal polynomial and moments. Coefficient of orthogonal are going to be defined by this Favart theorem. So this duality, in some specific case, comes exactly the duality between symmetric and homogeneous and elementary symmetric function. So there is some relation. So this is interest to go at the upper level with formal things with dual coefficient of paths. Even some paths give some identity. There is no more orthogonal polynomial. But bijection identities are still true. And so I can, going back to the different weight, I can go back to symmetric function. But this is the main theorem for the combinatorics of the formal orthogonal polynomial. The main theorem is Favart theorem. So suppose you have a sequence of polynomial. Monic means that it's polynomial of degree n, and the coefficient of highest degree is x power n. So this means monic polynomial. And then Favart theorem says that it's a necessary incident condition to have orthogonality. So I define two sequences, bk and lambda k. Its coefficient in k, and bk starts with k from 0, lambda k starts from 1. And then orthogonality, so lambda k should be different of 0. I have not written this here. So I take lambda k non-zero coefficient, and orthogonality, if the polynomial are a sequence, they are a sequence of orthogonal polynomial, then there exists a pair pk lambda k, such that you have this famous three-term linear recurrence relation. Pk plus 1 equal x minus bk pk minus lambda k pk minus 1. And conversely,
So you're saying there exists f if and only
yes.
if there exists.
So if you have pk, there exists. If you have pk satisfying, if they are orthogonal for a certain f, then there exist two sequences pk lambda k with lambda k non-zero, satisfying this three-term linear recurrence relation. And conversely, if you have a sequence of polynomial defined by this three-term linear recurrence relation, if you have a sequence like this, then there exists an f, there exists moment, so that the pk are orthogonal for the sequence mu n. So in general, when you have a sequence of monic polynomial, each polynomial pk plus 1 can be expressed as x multiplied by pk minus something pk minus 1, pk minus 2, pk minus 3. So you have to go back until the p0. You can express any sequence of monic polynomial as a recurrence relation on all the previous polynomial. But in case of orthogonality, you stop, you have only pk, pk minus 1.
So each lambda k is greater than 0 or?
It's non-zero. No, it's non-zero.
Sorry, each lambda k is non-zero or?
Yes.
It's not identical?
It must be non-zero, lambda k. So if you are a real number, and if lambda k are all positive, strictly positive, then the moment problem has a unique solution. But if lambda k are any real number, non-zero, then there may be several measures give the same orthogonality. So the problem, you give me formal sequence bk lambda k, I just think of it as some letters in the alphabet. Bk lambda k are just formal variable. You have formal variable, so you give me pk lambda k, so give me the mu n. So mu n should be some polynomial, formal polynomial in bk lambda k. So what are the mu n? So this is a formal Favart theorem. And this is the starting point of the cometal theory of formal orthogonal polynomial, which is equivalent to the cometal theory of continued fraction. See, at the beginning, there was, for each class of orthogonal polynomial, there was some bijection, some formula, some combinatorial. And at the beginning, some of the specialists of orthogonal polynomial in the 80s, they don't believe that we can do a combinatorial theory of a general orthogonal polynomial without any, just formal orthogonal polynomial. But it's possible to. So it's possible to take the book, classical book of analysis, and redo everything with combinatorics, which is going to be a new way to see orthogonal polynomial. So the interpretation of the mu-n, if you give me bk lambda k, interpretation of the mu-n is in its term of weighted Motzkin path. Or Motzkin weighted path. So you give me bk lambda k. Now forget if lambda k is 0 or non-zero, it's just formal variable. So bk lambda k belongs to a certain ring of formal polynomial in alpha, beta, etc. I am going to consider some paths on the positive quadrant, and when you are at level k in the path, I am going to give a weight. Each elementary step of the path will be weighted. When you go up, you put a weight 1. When you stay at a certain level, you put a weight bk. When you go down, you put lambda k. So definition, Motzkin path. Maybe I already defined this in the class. And Motzkin path is a path on this quadrant quarter of the square lattice. You start from the point 0, 0. You have three kinds of elementary steps. You can go to the northeast, go to the southeast, go east. All these points, you stay above the 0 level, and at the end, you go back to the 0 level. So it's called Motzkin path because it's counted by Motzkin numbers, which are close to Catalan numbers. Because if you take a Motzkin path without level, with only northeast and southeast steps, then you get a Dicke path, and number of Dicke paths of length 2n is a Catalan number. So I have a Motzkin path. I am going to put the weight. Each elementary step is going to be weighted by this formal variable. This is Motzkin. This was in a paper. I introduced this in a certain paper, nothing to do with the subject, but and then the weight, you see the weight, so you put on each level, you put a weight B1, B0, B1. When you go down, I am at level 2. I start at level 0, so I have lambda 2, lambda 1, lambda 1. And the weight, V of omega of my Motzkin path is going to be exactly this monomial in variable. You consider the Bi and lambda j as a formal variable. So I have an infinite number of formal variables, the blue and the red, and I have a weight of the Motzkin path. So this is the fundamental definition. Weighted Motzkin path, weighted by the bk lambda k. And then I claim that if I know the sequence bk lambda k and this three-term recurrence relation define the pk polynomial, I claim that they are orthogonal for this linear functional f, where the moment mu-n are given by this. The mu-n are exactly the sum of the weight of all Motzkin paths of length n. So it's a big, when n is big, it's a big polynomial. Each time mu-n is a polynomial in bk lambda k, and I claim my polynomial defined by the three-term recurrence relation will be orthogonal for this sequence of moment. So I will not prove this theorem, I will prove this next year. There is a beautiful combinatorial proof with some involution or bijection. And if you see some physics paper on orthogonal polynomial, if you see classical papers, there is many times these three diagonal matrices appear in the subject. Why this matrix appear? Because this matrix, say you put on the diagonal, you put B0, B1, B2, Bk. On below diagonal, you put lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda k. Above, you put 1, 1, 1. This trigonal matrix is exactly the transition matrix of the path. I mean by transition matrix, if in the Motzkin path you are at level I, then you can go at level I plus 1 with the weight 1. You can stay at the same level with the weight bk, or you can go down from k to k minus 1 with the weight lambda k. So this is what is called the transition matrix. if you take power of this matrix, power n, then this will give you the sum of the weight of all the paths of length n, and the coefficient ij will be the sum of weight of paths starting at level I, ending at level j. So this also orthogonal polynomial can be defined from this, the determinant of this matrix minus xi. You will see this trigonal matrix many times, especially in the physics paper working with the PASEP. There will be the trigonal matrix related to the Askey-Wilson polynomial. So now I claim there is an equivalence with analytic continued fraction. Continued fraction is, there is two types of continued fraction. The Jacobi continued fraction. You give me this coefficient bk lambda k. And then I claim, so this is a possible, this is a Jacobi continued fraction. Like this. So it's you take this 1 over 1 minus this, 1 over, so it's an infinite sequence of such division, and this is called the Jacobi continued fraction, which is related to these two sequences bk lambda k. And in case bk equals 0, if there is no level in the Motzkin path, then you get this what is called the Stieltjes, so here Jacobi. You get the Stieltjes continued fraction with only bk equals 0. So Stieltjes continued fraction is going to be related to Dicke path. So what is the relationship between orthogonal polynomial and this Jacobi or Stieltjes continued fraction? So this is a classical theory before doing any combinatorics. The classical theory, there is some relation. So here you have the orthogonal polynomial with the three-term recurrence relation with the orthogonality with moment. Here you have your Jacobi continued fraction. What is the relation between the two? There is two relations. First, if you cut this fraction at a certain level, so you get a rational fraction, and this rational fraction is going to be the ratio of two polynomials which are related to the pk. The pk, this is a reciprocal. Reciprocal means that you change x into 1 over x and multiply by x power k if the polynomial is of degree k. And this is another sequence of polynomial. I will define later the delta. So this is the first relation. You see they appear as reciprocal of the numerator and denominator, especially this one, the denominator, of the Jacobi. When you cut the fraction, this infinite continued fraction can be approximated by this rational fraction. The more you go, you cut at a higher and higher level, the better you get an approximation in sense of analysis of the genetic function j of t. So this is the first relation between this orthogonal polynomial and this continued fraction. Second relation is that the genetic function of moment is exactly expanded into this continued fraction. So there is two different theories which are really almost the same. They are related. You can go from one to another. Orthogonal polynomial with the bk lambda k of the Favart theorem with the moments are related to the continued fraction. The bk lambda k defining the j fraction, moment, coefficient, and the convergence. Reciprocal, I will explain. Reciprocal means that you just reverse if the polynomial is of degree k, then you change x in 1 over x, and you remultiply everything by x power k to get again a polynomial. So it means the coefficient of the highest degree becomes a constant term, coefficient just after becomes the term of the linear term, etc. You just reverse and delta means it's a shift. It will be the same sequence of orthogonal polynomial, but you replace bk by bk plus 1 and lambda k by lambda k plus 1. You shift your pair bk lambda k, you shift by 1, bk becomes bk plus 1, lambda k becomes lambda k plus 1. So this is another sequence of polynomial, which is exactly this one on the numerator. So in 1980, there was a fundamental lemma by Flageolet. I call this lemma with a capital L, like the LGV lemma. It's something very easy. It's something we can be applied many, many times. It's a fundamental lemma of Philippe Flageolet. So he died a few days ago. It was a very good colleague, good friend. So it was a seminal paper starting this story. It's a combinatorial interpretation of this Jacobi continuum fraction. So the fundamental lemma says that if you take the sum of the weight of all Motzkin paths with the weight bk lambda k, then it can be expanded into Jacobi continuum fraction. And the proof is the easy proof. It's if you have a Motzkin path, if you know how to manipulate generating function, Motzkin paths can be decomposed uniquely in a product of primitive Motzkin paths. Primitive means that it's touch the zero level only at the extreme point. So it can be this, or it can be just and so it's classical theorem. When you know the generating function of some part, product of this will be 1 over 1 minus generating function of the block. So the generating function for this weighted Motzkin path will be 1 over 1 minus generating function of primitive Motzkin path. Primitive Motzkin paths are exactly this path here. So the weight here will be B0t of this one, and then the weight, when you have a primitive Motzkin path, you can decompose, put a primitive Motzkin path, you take off the first step, the last step. So this is weighted lambda 1t, this is weighted t. And so primitive Motzkin path become again, once you have deleted the first and last step, become a general Motzkin path. So you can, in fact, write this, that the generating function Motzkin path is 1 over 1 minus B0t minus lambda 1 t2, the two extreme points, and here the same. Same, but with a shift. Because when you take this Motzkin path, the valuation, everybody will be shifted by one level. So for example, the weight here will be lambda 2. It will be no more lambda 1. And so you get here with the same generating function of Motzkin path, but only with a delta shift. Bk is replaced by bk plus 1, lambda k by lambda k plus 1. And so you can repeat this. You repeat it, and then you have again with a shift of shift. You repeat it, and then you can see the continuum fraction appearing. And this is a beautiful lemma which relates Motzkin path and Jacobi continuum fraction. So if you bk equal all the bk 0, then you get Dicke path. And so you get, in that case, here is a weight of certain Dicke path. You see, lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda 3. The weight of the Dicke path is this. And in that case, you get, a special case, you get still just continuum fraction. Like this. So now you go back to the general connection between orthogonal polynomial and continuum fraction. So we have the Flageolet fundamental lemma. Generating function of Motzkin path is this continuum fraction. But we know from the general theory, before doing any combinatorics, we know that the generating function of this J fraction was the generating function of moments. Thus, the consequence is that the moments of the orthogonal polynomial are exactly the sum of the Motzkin paths. The moments are the sum of the Motzkin paths. So if you know Flageolet theorem, if you apply the general theory, which was back a long time ago, you get this proof. So the combinatorists say, okay, forget all about analysis, all the classical book, and let's prove directly. Forgetting everything, let's prove directly that the moments of this general theorem are exactly so that we have done with Françon, the speaker, and Flageolet, to start again, to rewrite the whole orthogonal polynomial theory, or the formal, all the book of Chiara, to rewrite it, the formal orthogonal polynomial, to rewrite it with weighted Motzkin path and some beautiful combinatorics. For example, there is some, the proof that the moments are given by the sum of the Motzkin path, the proof that the Favart theorem gives you the moments. The proof is that if you take Motzkin path starting at level k, ending at level L of length n, then there is a certain formula with a f defined by the moment mu n of the sum of the weighted Motzkin paths, you have this formula, the f of pkpl x power n equals this. So if you put here, if you put 1 here, P0, L0, this will be f of xn, the sum of the weight of Motzkin paths starting at k equals 0, ending at L equals 0. So special case the moment, f of xn equal sum of weighted Motzkin paths, but there is more general, f of pkpl x power n equals this. So there is a bijective proof, an involution proving this. And then a particular case is when you have pkpl, f of pkpl, so the length of the x power n, the length of this path is 0. And how to get a Motzkin path with this part equals 0? So you must have k equal L. So you get orthogonality as a consequence of this more general theorem. And there is beautiful involution. I will explain all this next year. For example, there is the same bijection. The same bijection can give you a proof of the Favart theorem. Favart theorem that if you have bk lambda k, the moment are the sum of the weight of Motzkin paths. The proof that the convergent of the continued fraction, when you have the convergent, then when you cut, if you have Motzkin paths, taking the convergent means you are bounding the Motzkin paths. They are bounded at height k, so it means cutting the continued fraction into a rational fraction, and the fact that you have this polynomial are the same orthogonal polynomial, this fact also can follow from a bijective proof, and this bijective proof is going to be the same as this one, which will going to be the same as this one. So it says you can unify many different, completely different results as in the same setting, the same bijection, which work much more generally. So what is this theorem? Ramanujan theorem. This is not very frequent in Ramanujan papers. You usually always work with Q-series, specific example of Q-series, but here he gave an algorithm to compute if you take a generating function, to expand the generating function into a Stieltjes continued fraction. So you have a nice algorithm, which is totally different from other well-known algorithm, and you can give a proof of this algorithm. Again, formal proof with some paths and bk, lambda k, everything. And this proof is, all this is under the same roof. So we are putting many things under the same roof. And what is interest is that this bijection can work, for example, for any sequence of polynomial pk, each pk degree k. If you take it, then you get the Lukasiewicz path I defined 2 years ago, and this bijection work on Lukasiewicz path. So you can get some theorem coming from orthogonal polynomial to some sequence of polynomials which are not at all any orthogonal, but because it's the same bijection working on much more general family of paths. And an example is the homogeneous symmetric function, the elementary symmetric function, because the path of the homogeneous symmetric function is path you go northeast or you go east. You always go up. You never go down. So all the lambda k are 0. So you are no more in orthogonal polynomial. It's the worst case. All lambda k is 0. But the bijection working at this level to prove theorem on orthogonal polynomial, like this bijection in the 3 theorem here, it works. It's working on this family of paths. So this can be the interest of doing such a thing. And so here I just recall you the definition of P star. It's reciprocal polynomial, and the delta, the shift, is you just shift bk lambda k. Okay, so now I'm going to, this is general introduction to orthogonal polynomial, formal orthogonal polynomial, continued fraction. And now we are going to go to the connection with the PASEP and Laguerre history and moment of Laguerre. So this will be very important for our purpose of the PASEP polynomial. And so Laguerre polynomial, the Laguerre polynomial can be defined this way. The moment mu n is n plus 1 factorial, number of permutation, and the bk lambda k are 2k plus 2, and lambda k is kk plus 1. So see, lambda k is quadratic in k, and lambda bk is linear in k. And let's check, for example, if you take all the Motzkin paths of length 3, so there should be factorial 4 permutation, 24. So I take all Motzkin paths, so there is the weight, see the weight is 2k plus 2. So you have a weight 2 here, you have a weight 4 here, The weight when you go down is kk plus 1. And so the sum of all this weight here is 8, 4, 4, 8. You see the sum of the weight of all these 4 Motzkin paths, according to this valuation, is 24. And so I am going to give a proof now, a direct cometal proof of the fact that the sum of the weight of this of the Motzkin path with this bk lambda k, specific bk lambda k, is going to be exactly permutation. So the idea is to split the valuation. Instead of having 3 valuations, 1 bk and lambda k, and I'm going to split it into 4 valuations. I have a valuation ak when I go up, b prime k, b double prime k, and ck. So the bk is going to be such that it's split into a sum of 2 different valuations. The lambda k is going to be the product of ak minus 1 by ck, because in such Motzkin path, you see it, every step going up, weighted ak minus 1, is associated bijectively with a step going down, with a ck. So to this pair, I can associate the product. It's like to put all the weight, instead of putting the weight on the northeast step and southeast step, I can concentrate the weight on the southeast step, so that the sum of the weight is going to be the same. And so I define this. I define this 4 valuation, ak equal k plus 1, b prime k equal k plus 1, b double prime k equal k plus 1, ck equal k plus 1. Just define this, so that you have a lambda k. When I concentrate the weight on a single southeast step, lambda k is ak minus 1 ck. So lambda k will be exactly kk plus 1. And bk, the sum of these two, k plus 1 plus k plus 1, will be 2k plus 2. And this is much better to do combinatorially, because everything is linear now. I am going to introduce history, the Laguerre history. And so you can be convinced that the sum of the weight of all the Motzkin paths with the weight bk lambda k is going to be the sum of all the 2-color Motzkin paths. So 2-color Motzkin paths means that the level, there is 2 colors on the level, blue and red. Here, see? So the blue level is weighted k plus 1. The red level is weighted k plus 1. So you can be convinced that if you take a single Motzkin path, take all possible color of the level, so the sum of the weight of all the color Motzkin paths corresponding to a single Motzkin path will be exactly given by this weight for the single Motzkin path. So you can be convinced the sum of the weight of Motzkin path with this valuation will be the same as the sum of the weight of this 2-color Motzkin path with this valuation. There is a simple correspondence between the two, that I am changing this quadratic weight, bk lambda k, into a linear weight everywhere. And so I am introducing 2-color Motzkin path with 2 colors on the level. Or if you prefer continuous fraction, see, this is a continuous fraction for n plus 1 factorial. In fact, there is a well-known also Jacobi coefficient for n factorial. If you shift, I will use this continuous fraction also, changing n plus 1 factorial into n factorial, and this change the valuation. Instead of bk equal to 2k plus 2 lambda k equal k plus 1, you get bk equal to 2k plus 1, and lambda k equal k to the square. So we'll use both. This will be the Laguerre bijection, Laguerre history. This will be restricted Laguerre. So I call Laguerre history. So just remind you, I already defined Laguerre history. So this is chapter 3b, the slides 23 to 56. So I remind you Laguerre history. So again, it's a weighted 2-color. It's a 2-color Motzkin path weighted by just the weight we get from the moment of the Laguerre polynomial. So you have 3 possible steps: northeast, blue level, red level, and southeast. Every step is weighted by k plus 1, if k is the height of the starting point. And so I have the yellow numbers is giving me the weight of the 2-color Motzkin path. And then I must prove that the sum of the weight of all these Motkin paths is exactly n plus 1 factorial. So to transform this product of yellow numbers to each two-column Motkin path, there is product of these numbers, and I'm going to define this product as all possible choice of f. F is a choice function. So f is a blue number, all possible blue numbers. So each blue number, p1, p2, pn, each pi is between 1 and the weight, the yellow number. So all possible choice of blue numbers, if you fix the two-column Motkin path, all possible choice of blue numbers will be exactly the product of the yellow numbers. So it will be the weight of the two-column Motkin path. So see what you have to prove, that there is a bijection. There must be a bijection between n plus 1, permutation of n plus 1, and this Laguerre history, a Motkin path, two-column on the level, and this choice function. Any sequence of blue numbers, any blue number, you choose it between 1 and the weight. This is the weight given by the moment of the Laguerre polynomial. So we have done this bijection, you see, between weighted two-column Motkin path, and then I start from an interval, empty interval. Then you put the 1, you put the 2, you put the 3, you put the 4, and depending on the blue number, you put it in some position when you label the possible position from left to right. And depending if you have going up, going down, or a blue level or a red level, you put your point like this. For example, 5, you put it here. This 5 was the second choice. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here, when I put 5, there was two possible choices. I take the second one. So when I introduce this 5, see there is two possible choices. I take the second one. I put my 5 in this empty cell. And then I'm going down. I don't open any new cell, any new interval on the left and on the right. If you are going up, then you open a new interval on the left and a new interval on the right. If you are just taking a level, you open a new empty cell, empty interval, sometime on the left if it's a blue, on the right if it's a red. And so we have seen that this can be translated into operator. Remember the operator for representation of the PASEP algebra. There was 4 operators. Each time you are putting a new vertex in some of the interval, and the blue numbers will give you which interval you are putting in, and then according to when it's A, it corresponds to adding 2 new intervals on the left and the right. When it's S, it corresponds to going down in the path. You don't add any new interval. J or K, you add a new interval on the left or on the right. It's J and K are related to the blue and red interval. And the reverse bijection, maybe it's important, is the reverse bijection. It was when you have an X, you separate the permutation into block of letters. The red, all letters are greater or equal to X. The blue, all letters are strictly less than X. And then if you look, where is the letter X? If it's the first block, second block, third block, this will give you the choice function. So if you want to get back this blue and red, so see, start from this permutation and delete the 9, then delete the 8, so then delete the 7. So if I delete 7, I have 3 interval consecutive, so 2 interval consecutive give a single interval. So you say I can delete, and what you get, you say what you get is, for example, here, or here, for example, this interval corresponds to the red block. You fix the X, and all the letters bigger than X have been deleted, and they correspond to this single interval. So this one is the second block, so which means I am working in the second interval. So from the permutation, you can, and then you can reconstruct your permutation by going back. And these yellow edges, which was on the local rule for the PASEP algebra, there was a big chapter at the end. There was this very complicated bijection with local rule. They come from this Laguerre history. And I will use weighted Laguerre history. So this, because at the beginning, people were working with weighted paths. But so this is complicated because I have a path which is weighted by the k plus 1, etc. to k plus 2. So the weight is given by the Laguerre moments. And then I am going to weight the history. So the history is defined from a certain weight. So not to be confused with weighted paths with many kind of weights. So I try to introduce the name history. Now many people use the name history. History is you remember everything you have done. So it depends on the valuation. So there is Laguerre history because this is a specific variation. There will be Hermite history, Charlier history for each orthogonal polynomial, which are where the bk are linear and the lambda k quadratic. There is a kind of history. And for each one, then it's better to make the name history, which depends on the weighted path, and then to weight the history. So weighted Laguerre history. So the bk is to have the Laguerre, because Laguerre, we have seen there is a parameter alpha in the Laguerre polynomial. And this parameter alpha is going to be exactly the alpha of the PASEP. In fact, there is alpha and beta in the PASEP. So this parameter alpha, you see, I am going to replace bk by this valuation, lambda k by this one. And if you put alpha equal 1, you get back the Laguerre history, you get back the permutation. So you can ask, but if I put this formal weight alpha, what it means when I do the Laguerre history, I have the weight Botkin path, what it means in terms of permutation. What is the translation of this parameter alpha and permutation? And this alpha is going to be the left to right minimum element, or the number of cycles is going to be the Stirling number. So there is different possible proof, and one possible proof is the following. It's you see, you replace. So I am going to put bk. So I am going to replace the bk lambda k, or I will put ak equal k plus 1, b prime k equal k plus alpha, b double prime k equal k plus 1. I split my valuation here in this, and this. I split here ak equal k plus 1, ck equal k plus alpha. So it's arbitrary. I can put my alpha. I would have been able to put it here, or to put it here. So if you put alpha equal 1, you get back this valuation. And now you have to look what happened of this alpha in the Laguerre history. When you do the bijection, and I claim that doing the Laguerre history with this will give me, we put a weight alpha. Then the parameter alpha, when you are on the Laguerre history, you will put a weight alpha. Each time they will choice pi equal 1 for the blue step, or when you go down. You can check this, that in the history, so in general, the parameter alpha, it's a different number of choice. When you take the first choice, this will correspond to left to right of Stirling number. But not the first choice for all possible steps. Only for the east step and the down step. And if you put a weight alpha for this, and then you can, this correspond to left to right maximum element in the permutation sigma. See, I have my weight alpha, I have put it here, I have put it in this step or this step, and then I claim that this corresponds to the first choice for each of this. Right? It's arbitrary. You have k plus alpha choice. So you can put, okay, one of the choice will be weighted alpha, all the other choice will be weighted 1. So I put alpha for the first choice, for these two possible steps, and I claim that I get exactly the left to right maximum element of the permutation. So it's an easy check for this, and so I claim that this is an example. You can check the example that you get exactly the left to right maximum element. So you already met this in the PASEP with left to right or right to left, or there is 4 possible elements with the max, mean, left, right. So I get this distribution with alpha, and so corollary, the moment of the Laguerre polynomial alpha is exactly the distribution of left to right minimum or maximum element. So this gives me the moment of the Laguerre polynomial with the parameter alpha. So this will be very useful for the PASEP. In fact, there is 2 parameters alpha beta, and this will more or less correspond to alpha, one possible choice at the beginning, and beta the maximum choice. But it's more complicated than this. But the idea is alpha and beta correspond to the extreme choice in the Laguerre history. And this corresponds to alpha beta in the PASEP model in physics. And there is a Q also, which is more difficult to handle, but the Q will be the next session. the next chapter, I will concentrate on the Q coming from the PASEP and the Q analog of Laguerre polynomial. And if you put alpha equals 0 here, you get n factorial. So you get, and you get what I call the restricted Laguerre. Restricted Laguerre means the weight is 2k plus 1 k to the square, which means that instead of having k plus 1, k plus 1, k plus 1, k plus 1, I put only k and k here. And this means that this operator means that one choice is forbidden. The choice is to put your new value I, to put in the first position. Okay, here it's allowed to put in the first position, but if you put it in the first position, you have to open a new interval at the left. So if constantly you keep an interval on the left which is not occupied, which is empty, so you do all this all along the construction. So at the end, you will have an empty interval at the beginning of the permutation. And then you put n plus 1 in this interval. So you will have permutation with sigma of 1 equal n plus 1. So this is evaluation to get this permutation. Always keep empty the first interval. If you fill up with the value, okay, open a new interval at the left. So this is done by these two operators, and these two operators, this is forbidden to put it on the first possible interval. So this is I call restricted Laguerre. I will use this also in the following session. And this is characterized by sigma of 1 equal n plus 1. It's n plus 1. So this is a continued fraction for n factorial. So now there is a nice, in this classification of orthogonal polynomial, there is a so-called Scheffer orthogonal polynomial. So this is two completely different models. The orthogonality, orthogonal polynomial, and Scheffer type polynomial means it's polynomial such that the exponential generating function is given by a product of, or you can keep the, no, it's okay, Amri. You can keep the two derivative function, f and g. So you can, this is a product of g of t multiplied by exponential of x of t. Suppose you have two generating function f and g with f, and if you can find the generating function for your exponential, so this is the commentaries behind this is a exponential generating function, species, the Montreal, Quebec species, everything. This is chapter 3 of the class 2 years ago. So this is manipulating exponential generating function, like the Meller formula. You have to handle all this. So there is some interpretation of this. But if you combine, this is totally different model, the Scheffer type polynomial and orthogonal polynomial. Then there is a classical theorem which tells you there is only 5 family of polynomials satisfying this. The Hermite, the Laguerre, the Charlier, the Mexner 2. So in the classification of the ASCII tableau, see, this was at the lower level. Then there was a second level Laguerre and Charlier, with moment was n factorial and moment were the Bell number. And this second level is polynomial with 2 parameters, which contain the moment, the order partition, second number, etc., etc. So for each of these levels, there is some history. We have seen Laguerre history. So in fact, the interest of Laguerre history is that you can, from this unique bijection, you can get the interpretation of the moment of all these 5 polynomials. It's by putting some weight, extra weight, alpha, beta, here there is two weight alpha, beta, or restricting the history. For example, I'm going to show you the Charlier polynomial. If I restrict the history, I mean by some choice are forbidden, then I will get the moment of the Charlier. If I restrict more the history, I will get the Hermite history, and then I will get involution with no fixed point, or moment will be involution with no fixed point. So, for example, Charlier history. So the Charlier polynomial having moment Bell number, and I'm going to prove it using the Laguerre history. So Charlier polynomial are defined by this: lambda k equal ak, and bk equal a plus k. A is just a formal parameter, and it's well known that the moment of the Charlier polynomial are given by this polynomial. It's counting a partition of a set of n elements into k block. The formal variable a is counting number of blocks. So if you put a equal 1, the moment will be the number of partition, but there is more. The Charlier polynomial has a parameter A, which is counting partition by number of blocks. So I claim that from the Laguerre history, you can immediately prove this theorem. I show you the bijection. It's a particular case of Laguerre history. So Charlier history, I take the Laguerre history with AK equal A. So only one choice. One choice for AK weighted A. Here B prime K choice. B double prime, only one choice, weighted A. And CK equal K, any choice. And so here is an example of a Laguerre Charlier history. So it's a restricted, it's a Laguerre with much less choice than before. So just apply the philosophy of Laguerre history to this history, you see. So I put the 1. So the 1 is, this is a possibility given by this valuation. If you put A equal 1, so I go up, I'm going up, so means I am opening 2 blocks here. So the 2 is possibility 1. So the rule each time you say AK, I have only one possibility, which means I am always taking the first choice on the left. So the 2, see, always, when I introduce new numbers, they are always going to the left because it's AK equal 1. And in fact, it's weighted A. So each value on this left branches is going to be associated to one block of the partition. And 2, I don't put any right edges here because 2 is a red level, and the red level is choice, only one choice. Weighted A. So this is the rule. Red level, you don't open any right edges here. So now the 3 is, I take again, always one first choice, always. If there is only one choice, I'm going up, and weighted A. So you see all this number. Here I am opening some block of the partition. Here I am opening some blocks. So these edges are waiting for another number. And sometime I will close, when I have a red level, I will close the block of the partition. So 3, see, so 4 now. 4, I am in the first position. And 4 is a blue level. So it's this weight here. See, there is 3 possible. For the 4, there is 2 possible choice. There is first choice, second choice. And the 4 is a blue level. So blue means I am opening, the block is not finished. So each piece of this part is going to be this block of partition. And when you still open it, means it's not finished. Here, this block is finished. It was a unique block with only one element. So you continue like this. You see 5 is I'm going up, and I'm opening a new block in the partition. On the left, it's always open. I can infinitely go down here. But on the right, it depends if you open a new block or stop the block.
The height is the number of open blocks only.
Mm-hmm. So here I have 3 possible choices, 3 open blocks, and the 6 is going down, and I'm taking the third block. And going down means you close the block. So 6, first, second, third. So the 6 is here, and I stop. Because I'm going down, so 7 is the second block. 7, it open, it's a blue. When it's blue, you open. When it's red, you close, like the 2. When it's blue, you still continue to keep the block open. So 8 and 9. And then you get the partition in 4 blocks, 1, 4, 8, 2, 3, 7, 9, and 5, 6. So you see, the special case of Laguerre history, you get a partition, and with the parameter A, counting the number of blocks. I will not use this Charlier history with the PASEP, but I will use the Hermite history. But I just give you this because to show that all the Scheffer, these 5 classes of orthogonal polynomial, Scheffer polynomial, the moment all can be deduced from the bijection, the Laguerre bijection. So this bijection, we made it with Françon in 1978. So this was before the Flageolet fundamental theorem. So we have many bijection, many with history, everything, and we did not know we were doing the moments of orthogonal polynomial. And then Flageolet came and said, oh, but this is quantum fraction, this is orthogonal polynomial. And so there was a renewal of all this beautiful combinatorics. And now Hermite history. So again, it's a restriction of Laguerre, but much more restricted. Bk equals 0, lambda k equals k. So when I go up, there is 1. When I go down, it's k, and no level. So this is a quantum fraction for Hermite polynomial. So you should prove that this is number involution with no fixed point. This is gyrating function for the moment, number involution with no fixed point. And in fact, Euler, again, he knows this. Look, this paper. Here you have the quantum fraction up to the sign with x2, say 1, 2, 3, 4. You have exactly this quantum fraction with bk up to the sign. So he put a plus everywhere. So and this is gyrating function, you see, 1 by 3, 1 by 3 by 5. This is a gyrating function of involution with no fixed point, with alternating sign because he put a plus everywhere. So you have this quantum fraction. The number involution with no fixed point can be expanded in quantum fraction like this. This is in so you, x, yes. At that time, x to always it was written x to the square was not written. Then after you certain x to the cube, etc., you will put x to the 3, but always x. Because Dick path, it's instead of writing t, the half of the length of the Dick path, you take the whole length of the Dick path. So you see, it's a beautiful paper in Latin about. There are many papers in quantum fraction. So if you look this paper with the weight, with the new combinatorics of weight, Dick path, Motzkin path, so you can explain many things. So you would be surprised to see more than 300 years after, 250 years after. And so the Hermite history, moment of Hermite polynomial. So I will use this in this Hermite bijection between involution in no fixed point and Hermite history. I will use it in the PASEP for the Q analog next time. And we already use it for the oscillating tableau. So I just remind you the Hermite history. So the weight is bk equals 0, lambda k equals k. So you have Dick path. When you go up, the weight is 1. When you go down, the weight is lambda k. So I have to prove that the moments are the number of involution no fixed point. So the restriction of the Laguerre history give me this involution no fixed point, which can be seen as a core diagram of perfect matching. This is also 1 by 3 by 5 by etc. Can be involution with no fixed point, can be written like this. Only a cycle of length 2. So I give you an example with this Dick path, with this history, see? So when you go down, there is a weight lambda index k index I, if the level is k index I. So this is an example of a Hermite history. So you have so the Dick path give you the starting of the opening chord and the ending of the chord. So if you have the Dick path, you get this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the Dick path. And then you have to connect this chord according to the weight of the down step. So I will label, you see, from left to right, opening chord. So this is a certain step of the algorithm. So this will be I put choice 0 instead of 1. This will be for the Q analog, a shift of the possibility by 1. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3. You just label from left to right the possible choice. And let's do the history. So here I am going up, then 3. It's going to be connected to one of this with 2 possible choices. And I'm choosing the choice 0, the first choice. Then you go to the 5. So it's 2 possible ways to connect this. And the 5, I take the second choice, which is labeled 1. Choice. First choice is 0, second choice is 1. And then for the 7, I take the first choice. And for the 8, there is no possible. So I will use this when I will do the Q Hermite for the next time with the connection with the PASEP. Because it was the Q Hermite was involved and the Q Laguerre. And if you do a little more parameter, you get the Askey-Wilson polynomial. So we have seen this Hermite history. In fact, if you remember, there was a sequence of oscillating tableau in the local rule with this was the shadow line, the local rule, this was the Q, the inversion, and the sequence of this was in bijection. This was a Rook placement. It was in bijection with this Hermite history. So we have seen this. If you go back to this chapter, there was a bijection Hermite history. This is exactly the same. And I will finish with a Scheffer orthogonal polynomial. So I claim that these 5 classes of polynomial, the moments, all of them can be deduced from the Laguerre history. So we have seen Charlier polynomial with parameter A. We have seen Hermite polynomial. But all of them, even Chebyshev is, the weight is 0 or 1 or 2, it's Chebyshev polynomial. So the Laguerre, etc. So maybe this is complicated. So these are the moments of all these 5 classes of polynomial with some parameters. And if you carefully split this valuation on the 4 valuation for the going up, going down, the blue step, all this, you can completely interpret this with permutation. So you can translate the moments in terms of parameter on permutation. And okay, I will conclude with this, and next time I will continue with another bijection, what I call subdivided Laguerre history, which is so. And then you will be ready for doing the Q analog to analyze the Q parameter coming from the PASEP. There was 2 bijection between alternative tableau and permutation. And then the Q is a fundamental parameter in the PASEP, and we are ready with all this material to do the Q analog. Okay, thank you very much.